Wow. Listen, thanks so very much. James, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, my friend. Let's get this thing going. Delegates, colleagues, sisters, and brothers, welcome to our 2015 annual meeting. And as many of you know, the past number of years we've started our events with a special acknowledgement, and Ruth Ann did that for FNMI, and I just want to repeat it. The Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario should and does acknowledge and thank the First Peoples of this territory and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land in order for us to continue our work today. I want to start, if I can, by asking all of our first-time delegates who are here today to stand so that we can welcome you to this annual meeting and say thank you for being here. Would you stand up? Wow. You know, the best thing is every year the numbers get larger and larger, and that's about engaging members in our union. So thanks for being here. And make sure that when you get up to the mic that you let us know that you're a first-time delegate and or a first-time speaker at the microphone. You know, let's be clear, and I want to say to those critics who consistently suggest that this union is not democratic or we lack transparency. I say to those critics, pay careful attention over the next several days. This annual meeting is our union democracy at work, and delegates play a central role. You play a central role in that process. You are here representing our 78,000 members across this province in deciding how our union will move forward. I want to take this opportunity to recognize all of our local presidents. Whether you're moving on this year or starting anew, we all know in this room that our local presidents work tirelessly on behalf of our members day in and day out. And during this bargaining round, they've sacrificed a lot of personal time to attend meetings in Toronto to provide input about bargaining and central strike strategy. They've answered thousands of questions about the Phase 1 work to rule from members, and they've been in the media and in the public. And they have done all of this while representing their local members on local issues day in and day out, and while coordinating their own local negotiations. It's simply amazing. Will our local presidents please stand and be recognized so we can thank you? We could not do what we do without you. I also, if you bear with me, just a few more people I want to recognize and thank. Our General Secretary, Victoria Rayom, and our two Deputy General Secretaries, Sharon O'Halloran and Dr. Anne Rodrigue. I want to ask them to stand so we can all acknowledge their stellar, brilliant work and commitment to ETFO this year. Thank you so much. And of course, I can't go any further without making special mention of our provincial executive. You know, I've tweeted out many times that I am the luckiest president in any union because of the amazing provincial leadership team that I've had to work with, teams that I've had to work with, and this one is exceptional. And if you stand, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your commitment and passion to this union and our members. And a special thanks, if I may, to Susan, First Vice President, Maureen and James, Vice Presidents. It's been an absolute honor and another amazing 2 years to work with you. Your dedication is amazing as well, and thanks to you. Two more quick acknowledgements, if I may, very important. The first is to Ryan McLaughlin. Ryan, as you know, served as our OTF table officer. Ryan is currently serving until next week as the OTF president. And I want to take this time to thank Ryan, and I hope you'll join me in thanking her for all of your commitment, your dedication, your time and effort, and your passion that you've put forward in those positions on behalf of our members, Ryan. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Maureen Weinberger. You know, Maureen has served as our vice president, and she's also took on an additional responsibility of vice president at CTF. She doesn't see it as an additional responsibility, it's just what she loves to do. Maureen, you have served us with passion and dedication, and I have to tell you, as I told you earlier, you are one of my true sisters, and thank you so much for everything you have done here and at CTF. Thank you. So nobody will be surprised to hear we will be talking a lot about collective bargaining negotiations this week, and I'll get to that shortly. But it's easy to forget when you're in a round of negotiations like this that bargaining isn't the only thing that ETFO does. ETFO is one of the best providers of professional learning for educators in Canada. This year, like every year, there were hundreds of professional learning opportunities for our members through conferences, workshops, and AQ courses. We offer, as you know, amazing opportunities for our members, our ETFO Union School, for example, and Still We Rise, the ETFO Local Leader Virtual Academy, our early years website, to name but a few. We offer amazing opportunities for our members. In July, for example, in addition to that, thousands of our members participated in our summer academy, and many of our sisters took part in the Sisters in the Struggle program in Port Elgin. I hear you, sisters. Our members' values are reflected in the work we do as a union, and that's why ETFO is a leader in equity. This year, through the Pride House that Kids built, we helped bring the message to all Ontario elementary students and to the athletes and visitors to the 2015 Toronto Pan Am Games that sport must be inclusive for all people, especially LGBTQ athletes and youth. We will continue our work. We will continue our work on this issue with the fall release of ETFO's new LGBTQ Inclusive School Place Starts Here video and accompanying guide for educators, which explores homophobia and transphobia in school communities. This past year, ETFO developed a curriculum guide for teachers from kindergarten to grade 8 that introduces First Nations, Métis, and Inuit histories and realities in age-appropriate ways. We also toured Spirit Horse, a powerful play that challenges cultural stereotypes and confronts racism to schools in Southern Ontario. ETFO will continue to develop resources and programming to support FNMI education. As you know, we've been carrying out an aggressive, a very aggressive public campaign, Building Better Schools, that defends quality, publicly funded public education. We took our message across the province on television, radio, through print and online, in subways, on buses, and on highways. Our members put up lawn signs outside their homes and their farms and their cottages, and are sharing Building Better Schools postcards with parents and members of the community. ETFO's public campaign is ongoing, and I want to assure you that you'll see more of it in the very near future. I could go on and on about the work being done by our hard-working staff in all of our service areas, and there's just so much. But we've got lots to do today, and I know you want to get to it. But I want to take a minute and ask all of our ETFO staff who are in this room to stand up so that we can thank you for the work that you do. And they're but most of them are at the back of the room. Please stand up, ETFO staff. Simply put, they make us all look good. So let's talk a bit about the federal election. Now I may go on for 2 hours with this discussion. Just kidding. I can't help but mention, and as you well know, that we're now in the thick of a federal election campaign, 9 weeks away. You know, for far too long, we've had a government and a prime minister in Ottawa that has not reflected the values of the vast majority of Canadians. And my friends, this cannot continue. We cannot allow this to continue after October the 19th. For the first time ever, ETFO is directly involved in a federal election. Why? If you have questions, I'm going to run through just a very short list of reasons why we should be involved in this election. Let me start with Bill C-51. It's called an anti-terrorist bill. It's actually an anti-Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms bill. Bill 377. It's an anti-union bill straight up. Nearly 3/4 of the jobs created in the past 6 months in this country have been part-time, temporary, or in the self-employed sector. A funding shortfall. If we don't stop this government, if we don't stop Stephen Harper, a funding shortfall of about $36 billion in healthcare transfers are going to happen. 4 out of 5 children under 6 years old don't have access to regulated childcare spaces in this country. And the Prime Minister's, and on top of all of that, this Prime Minister's disdain for women's equality and programs is disgusting. We have joined our Labour partners, the CLC, CTF, and many others across this country in an effort to ensure that a new federal government is elected, one that has respect for fundamental Canadian values. And in the coming days and weeks, you'll be hearing more about how we are going to encourage everyone to get out, our members particularly, to get out and vote on October the 19th. My friends, we need to take back the Canada that we love, and to do that, we need to work together, and we need to heave Steve. As you can see, the theme of this year's annual meeting is bargaining for the future respecting our past. In every round of bargaining, we have our eyes on the future. Collective bargaining is really about strengthening the long-term health of our profession and publicly funded public education in this province. We listen to our members consistently who tell us what they need to provide their students with the best education today, a year from now, 5 years from now, and we are acting on that sound advice. We also, and we must look to the past. We respect our past because there are many lessons, as you well know, to be learned from it. All the rights we have in our collective agreements today weren't given to us. Make no mistake, were not given to us by school boards, OPSPA, or the government. They were won over decades by ETFO members like you and I and our leaders that came before us. You know, one example, in the 1970s, there was no preparation time language in any public elementary collective agreement. It took ETFO members many years to achieve self-directed preparation time. It took a lot of hard bargaining at the local level, and as many of you know, it sometimes took collective strike action by our members. In 1987, almost 10,000 Metro Toronto teachers went on strike for self-directed preparation time. 18 days later, they achieved their goal. 100 minutes of preparation time each week, guaranteed in their collective agreements. What an amazing accomplishment when you have united action. In the 80s and the 90s, many other locals went on strike and took collective action in many different ways to save and gain additional preparation time. By 1995, prep time was a standard feature in elementary collective agreements due to the work of great local bargaining teams and, when necessary, strike action or unwavering collective action by our members. We should all be thankful, I am, to those members and those union leaders who fought for the rights that we now have, often at great personal cost. I know I'm very thankful for their efforts and the legacy that they left us. You know, it's interesting that even in 1995, the Ontario Public School Board Association, and yes, that organization existed back then, was lobbying for the government to legislate away teachers' rights to bargain prep time. That was 20 years ago. The more things change, the more they stay the same and give up on it. My friends, 10 or 20 years from now, future ETFO members will be looking back at the things we did during this round of bargaining to protect their working conditions and future students' learning conditions. What will be the legacy that we pass on to them? I know, I absolutely know, that they're going to look back at this round of bargaining and be thankful for what you and our 78,000 members did in this round of negotiation. Here's why. We've drawn a line in the sand together and said no, absolutely not to OPSPA and the Liberal government's demands to erode working and learning conditions. We've talked a lot about OPSPA's control agenda during this round of bargaining, and we've been very clear at the bargaining table consistently and in the media that those strips that we've identified need to come off the table, and they need to come off the table sooner rather than later. Sisters and brothers, we cannot, we will not as long as I'm your president, disrespect those who came before us and those who will follow us. ETFO members stood with their union in the fall, and you and they gave us a 95% strike vote in November. You know, we've been engaging in unified collective action in every school board since our Phase 1 work to rule began on May the 11th. And as you know, our work to rule is designed to have maximum impact on the Ministry of Education and OPSPA and minimal impact on student programming. And that's exactly what it has done. That's exactly what it will continue to work. And in there, in our work to rule, we, you and I and our members, said no to EQAO. It's amazing that it's been almost 2 decades that we've had EQAO testing in our schools. And we all know that EQAO doesn't just affect those who teach grade 3 and grade 6. Every year, teachers, support staff, school resources, everyone in that school community across this province and in other grades are diverted to feed that insane EQAO machine. If you'll work with me just a little bit on this, I want you to wave your hands if this is your first school year without EQAO. Amazing, absolutely amazing. You did that, and our members did that through collective action. You shared stories on ETFO's, our union, our values, our profession website, and on social media about all the things you were able to do for your students instead of dealing with EQAO. How that weight was lifted off you and your students' shoulders. I've been so very proud of the way our members have stepped up and engaged in direct political action consistently. You all said no to OPSPA and the Liberal government. If you're not going to come, I'm sorry, collectively, you said to OPSPA and the Liberal government, if you're not going to come to the bargaining table, we're going to come to you. And thousands of you went to Collingwood 2 weekends in a row in June to visit the Liberal and OPSPA annual meetings. Those rallies, as I said at both of those rallies, make no mistake, those rallies were a small taste, a test run of what's down the road in the coming months if they don't get serious about negotiating a fair collective agreement, if they don't get serious about respecting our 78,000 members across this province. Those of you who work in schools and school boards that tried to avoid their responsibility to provide report cards to parents, would you wave your hands for us if you work in those school boards? You know, your calm, professional, and unwavering stand in the face of that blatant move to demoralize your union and weaken your resolve was amazing, and it didn't work. We responded to that game quickly and effectively. We communicated with parents directly through full-page ads in the Toronto Star, Ottawa Citizen, and many other community newspapers. One after another, those school boards were forced to back off. And I want to thank each and every one of our 76,000 members for their incredible resolve, activism, and solidarity during that period and throughout the year. You've also been reaching out to parents, communities, and the media during this round of collective bargaining to represent your profession. You are reinforcing through doing that a simple truth. that everyone in this room understands. Our working conditions, our students' learning conditions. And if you erode working conditions, it directly and immediately impacts on learning conditions. Already, I've seen some of you using the video booth outside this meeting room to explain the connection between working and learning conditions. And I encourage everyone here to use that video booth and share what you've recorded on social media and with friends, the public, the media, the Premier, and the Minister of Education. The fact is, you are the best advocates for publicly funded public education and for students. You have made our education system one of the strongest in the world, and I'm honored and I'm proud to be your president, and our members should hold their heads high for that. Never forget, there are countless people who support and deeply appreciate the work you do. And I have to tell you, and I know this, that they have your back. And I also want you to know that no matter what lies ahead for us, I have your back as well. This is a collective fight, my friends, and we will continue to stand together, and we will prevail at the end of this. I want to end and draw this to a close with a very clear message to the Liberal government. ETFO has always been ready and willing to negotiate a fair collective agreement for our members. It's been almost a year since our collective agreements expired. Where have you been? You have allowed OPSPA to control the bargaining agenda and sidetrack negotiations for months. You know, the Liberal government's education policy is based on the fact that outstanding education systems support teacher professional development. The Liberal government introduced full-day kindergarten with DECEs and teachers working side by side together to provide the best possible program for our youngest student. The Liberal government implemented class size caps in the primary grades. Why? Because they know that lower class sizes are good for students. They introduced a regulation that goes a long way to support fair hiring practices by school boards. So why? I ask, why? Is the Liberal government silent when OPSPA comes to the bargaining table with proposals that would undermine everything that I've just gone through? Saying nice things and talking about your partners in education might get you elected. But just saying nice things about wanting to restart bargaining isn't going to cut it. We need action. My members need action, a real commitment to negotiate in good faith. I am pleased and I'm optimistic that the government finally took some action this summer in an attempt to kickstart central bargaining. You know that we had two very frank conversations with government representatives, and based on what we heard during those two conversations, ETFO has decided to return to the bargaining table on September the 1st. We expect the parties sitting at that table on September the 1st to engage in serious, respectful bargaining that will result in a fair central collective agreement for our members that respects our past, our current members, and the future of publicly funded education in this province. Otherwise, and let me be absolutely clear, if that doesn't happen, then I say to the government and I say to OPSPA, you are in for the fight of your lives. Wow, you just made everything that I do and your provincial team does worth it, absolutely. Let me finish up, my friends. Thank you so much. We will defend, make no mistake, we will defend quality public education in this province. We will defend our members. We will defend our collective agreements. We've done it before, and we will do it again, and we will do it together. Thank you so very much, and have a great annual meeting.